Good afternoon. Look at that. Good afternoon. Hope you're having a good day today. I guess we're on. Oh, excuse me. Oh my God, it's so warm today. I don't know what that's about. All right. So welcome to our Wednesday. Wednesday's always a lovely day to come together for our meditations. We're asking to feel luminous and loved at the end. How can anyone complain about that? And this week, I have to say that this is one of my favorite Torah portions in the entire Torah because it has 3 or 4 different stories to choose from. There's lots of themes, and all of the themes kind of fall under the stuff I'd love to talk about my entire rabbinate. One is yesterday we talked about dignity. Today we're going to talk about not complaining, and then we're going to talk about not gossiping. Those are the 3 subjects that are like closest to my heart. Hello there, Chuck and Lisa and Kathy and Florence, welcome. But these really are kind of, I feel if people didn't complain, if they didn't gossip, and they, hello, Helene. If people don't gossip, if people treated everyone with dignity and people didn't complain, we would have a much better world. But alas, we are human beings, and I don't know if I can count on that necessarily. So let's get into it. Sorry about that. That sneeze gave me, as my mother would say, a little hotzness. So it'll go away. So, complaining. There are 3 major complaints in our Torah portion. The first major complaint is, oh, the manna from heaven, I'm so sick of it. Why do we have to eat manna all the time? That's the first complaint. I'm paraphrasing that one, by the way. But the idea that manna isn't enough. And but it's kept them alive. I mean, unbelievable. And they're like, we want to eat meat. Can we eat meat? And there's 600,000 people. How can you possibly eat all the meat? You'd be eating all the animals. And so God said, well, listen, is there anything I can't do? And so there's quail that comes in. And there's so much quail that it's literally like a day's walk to the right and to the left of the group. And they go and they collect all the quail. And they start eating all the quail. And the way they describe it is it's sticking out between their teeth when God sends a plague amongst the people and wipes out a lot of the complainers. That's complaint number 1. Complaint number 2 is after, around the same time that all that's going on, God had asked for the 70 elders to come into the tent of meeting so that God could take care of this complaining through them. 2 of the people that didn't go into the meeting were Eldad and Medad. Eldad and Medad went around the camp, like speaking in tongues, as they describe it, prophesizing. And these people go to Moses and they're like, hey, these guys are prophesizing. Would you please go talk to them and tell them they can't do that? And Moses is like, would all people prophesize as they have? Why are you concerned about them? Why does it bother you what they're doing? I wish everybody would act like that. So that's number 2. No punishment, nothing. 3 is Miriam complaining about Moses' wife. This is the gossip section. But it really starts with a complaint. And Miriam is punished with white, scaly skin and a skin disease. And then we'll get into this probably tomorrow. Wait a minute, today's Tuesday. Today's not Wednesday. I started by saying today's Wednesday. I've been either a day ahead or behind this whole week. Today we do not ask to be luminous and loved. We ask for blessing and for safety. So I'm very sorry about that. How come no one goes online and says you have the day wrong, Rabbi? Everyone's embarrassed to tell me I'm wrong. Did anyone write that in there? No, nobody wrote that in there. So we're on Tuesday. We'll get into this tomorrow a little bit more. But this is where Moses makes the prayer El Narafanallah, the first real prayer in the Torah that Moses makes for sure. Please God heal her. And so that's your third one, where there is a punishment. That's a personal punishment. And it seems like these complaints go from communal complaints, complaining about what someone else is doing, and then complaining to someone about someone else. Not necessarily what they're doing, just about them. It's almost like there's three different kinds of complaints here. Many years ago, maybe 10, maybe more, I did a sermon about being complaint-free. And the sermon was based upon, and I'm forgetting his name now, there was a pastor in Kansas who believed that if we could not complain for 21 days, then we would be rid of the habit of complaining. And so that was the first year we came up with bracelets at the High Holy Days, because you'd put a bracelet on your wrist, and anytime you complained, you take it off the wrist and you put it on your other wrist. And if you can go 21 days without removing it from one wrist to the other, then you've beaten the habit. Because supposedly if you go 21 days doing anything or not doing something, then you get into the habit of that thing. And I have to say, I tried it for about a year and I never made it. I never made for the full 21 days. I got pretty close. I made it to a little over 2 weeks. Maybe it was 16 or 17 days. And then I said something and my wife looked at me and I was kind of bummed about it. As a matter of fact, there's a story in the book, Be Complaint Free, which is all about this pastor, or A Complaint-Free World. That's the name of the book. Our phrase was Be Complaint Free, but it's a complaint-free world. The pastor says that he was sitting at the table literally on the last day, on the 20th day, and he's sitting at the kitchen table, and he says something, and he looks to his wife, he says, "Was that a complaint?" And she looked at him and said, "If you have to ask, then it was." And so he didn't make it to the 21 days either, but he made it to 20. The reason why I'm calling our attention to this is complaining just makes you maybe feel good. I mean, what's the reason for complaint? Complaining is just a negative energy that's put out into the world. And sometimes, listen, there are genuine complaints that people can have. But is it a complaint to bring up something that is either unjust or wrong? I'm not sure that that's a complaint. A complaint is something that you just don't like it for one particular reason or another, and you put your opinion out as to why you don't like it. And I think we have a default to complain. I think it's very rare the times you find people that just kind of go with the flow or figure it out for themselves. Complaining is kind of also in our DNA, right? And that if we don't have something to complain about, sometimes we have nothing to talk about. So it's easy to complain. It's easy to complain, actually, rather than find a solution. But really all complaining does is it lowers the thing and raises you up. That's what gossip is as well. And listen, the worst mentors we could have on this are the Israelites, because the Israelites are always complaining. You know, you'd think after they get through the Sea of Reeds that that they would stop complaining, because they'd be like, oh my God parted the Sea of Reeds and we're safe and we're going. But it was like 3 days later that they arrive at these waters of Meribah and they're complaining again. And then they receive the 10 Commandments and they're going off, and here we are in this Torah portion. They've gotten manna from heaven and they have to complain about the manna. The Israelites are just not good role models for us when it comes to whether people should complain or not, because they're full of complaints all the time. And in fact, a lot of these complaints lead to pestilence, lead to issues, lead to leadership problems. The golden calf happens because they're complaining. I mean, there are so many horrible things that happen because they complain. The biggest one is actually next week's Torah portion, where the scouts go out, they give bad reports and complain that they're not going to be able to make it. And God says, well, you know, if you don't believe you're going to make it, you're right. So complaining at that time actually meant that they would not enter into the promised land. Complaining stops everything. And what we're trying to do in our mindfulness work is open things up and just notice them. Not put things down, but allow them to come up. We may not want to do everything that comes up, but what comes up in our minds, even the complaints, is so that we can feel better about ourselves. So if a complaint comes into our heads, perhaps the best way to look at it is say, okay, what am I really complaining about, and how can I make that better? Right? Instead of, oh, this is terrible, and leaving it at that. And I think the mindfulness work is noticing how I'm feeling about something, that I'm not feeling good about it. And then instead of complaining, you look inward and you notice how you're feeling. You say, why is it that I feel that way? Is there something in that that's making me feel that way? And then you have somewhere to go. So complaining just for the sake of complaining, no. But if you have an issue and you want to go into your head and you want to think about it and you want to find out what it is, then it can become something positive you can put out into the world. So, when you're meditating and your mind comes in and it's complaining about something, I think it's most interesting to say, why is that bothering me so much? And that's the question to ask. Why is it I want to complain about that? What is it I don't have or I need that I'm not getting from this thing? And if it's something important, then you can move on to something else. But it's the idea, again, of noticing how you feel about something, not noticing how bad that thing is. It's how you're feeling about it and what emotions it's bringing up in you, and then ask the questions, why is it bringing that emotion up? Sometimes that can help us to get through these kinds of moments where we're not feeling comfortable. So speaking of comfortable, let's get comfortable or into a position where we can close our eyes and relax and yet still keep our energy going. Here we go. Get yourself into a position where you can just breathe. Think about your breath. Feel your body. And remember, we're not trying to fix anything now. In about 20 minutes, you can go back to all your fixing. Now we're just being, allowing everything to be just as it is for now. As your mind takes you away, just bring yourself back in love, in loving kindness. No judgment. None of us can go the entire time without thinking. But to bring ourselves back is the important part. As we move into our final minutes together, call upon the Priestly Benediction, first of the three blessings or sentences. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and protect you. So we ask, may I feel blessed? May I feel safe? May I feel safe? May I feel blessed? May I feel blessed and safe? Just ask one or both of those on each breath for several breaths. You can say it out loud to yourself, whispered, small voice. May I feel blessed? May I feel safe? May I feel blessed? May I feel safe? May I feel safe? May I feel blessed? May I feel safe? If you'd like to invite someone to be with you, be in your mind's eye, sitting, standing in front of you, you can offer this to them. May you feel blessed. May you feel safe. I like to say this each week, that, to say may I feel blessed is just to recognize what actually is there. To feel blessed, since we are all blessed to be here. And then you might be safe, but you need to feel safe and cultivate that feeling, especially those of us who are vaccinated yet still afraid to be out. May you feel blessed. May you feel safe. May you feel blessed. May you feel safe. May you feel blessed and safe. And we just bring it back to ourselves. May I feel blessed. May I feel safe. May I feel safe and blessed. May I feel blessed and safe. May I feel blessed. May I feel safe. May I feel blessed and safe. We just finish just concentrating on our breath. Thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday. I hope that you were able to find some stillness and peace. May you feel blessed, and may you feel safe.